Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Happy 2020. I am Bluestar, and this is P.S.Etc. Politics and Spirit and more. So today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to record a couple of segments as I work from a book I have been fond of for years. Maybe you know it. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can show it. There we go. Oneness by Rasha. It's been a wonderful book to work with. But I was just poking at it this morning. And I thought, you know what? There are some really important passages in this book that I want to share. And you could say that today is a conversation, a continuing conversation of diversity. And in this day and age, where we have so many contradictions surfacing, and many of us are asking the questions, what's true, what's false? And I think that Rasha, in this book, Oneness, actually addressed this in some really good ways, okay? So as I read and talk a little bit about each passage, I'm going to then end this segment and start the next one. But here, listen to this. I think this is pretty important. The institutions that provide the authoritative structure for every aspect of your reality will be challenged to keep pace with the evidence that will continue to challenge the gospel upon which the so-called facts of your world are based. Facts are only as firmly founded as the moment in which they are perceived. For reality only exists in the moment of now. And in the moment of now that you would perceive as the future, certain facts will be shown to have no basis whatsoever. Now, I think this is a very helpful excerpt because that is what's happening in the world. We're looking in every direction and we're questioning everything. And that is a very healthy dynamic. But we're questioning what's true. And I think that's why many people have fallen away from dogmatic approaches and theories and offerings, is because something inside us is not resonating with that. And I think what's important in these times is recognize when something doesn't resonate with you and just accept the fact that you are having a different perception and understanding of what is true. Okay? So the point here is, you know what's true from within. And in our past, we have been looking outside ourselves. We've been intellectually and theoretically determining, oh, this is the right perspective for me, or this is true. But I think what's happening is the worlds are colliding, and we're coming to a very, very potent moment in our consciousness where we're starting to realize that truth is what you know within. And so if everyone is coming to this conclusion in some shape, way, or form, then we are being prompted to step back and go, wow, start to look at each individual on this planet and start to recognize we have a multitude an infinite number of perceptions because everyone is starting to recognize and view life from their own truth. And I would say this is the very early beginnings of embracing diversity. We still want to ask, what is accepting diversity? And with this kind of understanding, there's no compartment for anyone. But how do we begin to look at each other and actually be entertained by, wow, the way the other person thinks, the way the other person makes choices, the way the other person perceives things? Because deep within ourselves, we have always known that no one is quite like me, whether you've demonstrated that externally or internally. But something inside says, you know what? I'm not like anyone else. And I think that's a healthy thing. Okay, so that's the food for thought for that segment. And I will end this segment and I will be right back. Hi. Okay, this continues a little bit on the prior thought, but I'm going to skip around this time. Your own perspective may differ dramatically from that of others with whom you share your experience of life. And the reaction of choice is not to agonize over whose perceptions are right and whose are wrong, but rather to adopt an air of fascination at the diversity you are able to witness from the vantage point of the observer. So a quick note on this. We are coming into a very challenging time politically in our nation. And so we're going to hear a lot of different perceptions and different choices. And we're going to, fiercely want to say what's right, what's wrong, who to vote for, who to not vote for. Get ready. Step back. Let everyone have their opinion. Now, I know this is nothing new that I'm saying, but I'm using the excerpts from Rasha because I think she says these things in just very clear ways. Then, in the times soon to come, you can expect to experience a multitude of parallel perspectives in a time sequence that may appear to be simultaneous. And it is possible that certain individuals may question their own sanity when confronted with perceptions that linear logic would consider to be contradictory. Okay, I just think in that excerpt, it's important to recognize, yeah, we may have moments of thinking we're insane. Let it go. Just let it go. It's part of the process. And then I like this part here. Let's see. Until now, such experiences have been relegated to the arena of science fiction or dismissed as evidence of mental aberration. As you begin to achieve the integration of the multiple aspects of self as part of the ascension process, it will become obvious that the experience of having objects appear and disappear will be commonplace. I know, that's a little sci-fi, but so are we. And resist the inclination to dismiss such experiences of evidence of foul play on the parts of discarnate consciousness. For the experience itself is not evidence that something is wrong, but rather something is right. Okay, here we're crossing over dimensional planes. So essentially, I think the message is For those of us who have been aware that there are other realms and that we're not the only life form in the universe, that interdimensionally our planet is changing and our consciousness is changing. And therefore, as we witness these things occurring in our lives that before we'd consider sci-fi or we're crazy, it's time to start embracing and allowing these parallel universes, simultaneous realities. Let them occur, because we are moving into very new and different times. So be open-minded. All right, I think that's a lot to chew on right now. So we'll bring closure to this segment. And like I said, this is all about little tidbits to contemplate and find out within yourself. If something resonates as truth, well then, blessed be. If something doesn't resonate as truth, well, blessed be as well. Okay, I'll be back. It is for you who are aware of what is transpiring to remain focused in your own experience of these times. It is unnecessary to your own personal process to invest large amounts of mental energy on questions of what others may or may not be experiencing. Your own journey is not one governed by consensus reality in any given moment. What is true for you is not necessarily that which is true for a close friend, a relative, or a total stranger. Your journey is one that is being tailor-made to the pace of your own process. And you are not necessarily wrong or abnormal on the basis of experiences that are not being replicated by others. So how this rings true for me is, in the past, yes, I have sought out people that shared similar thinking, similar beliefs, and there was a comfort. And I would say that that was an egoic comfort. It was a sense of false security. And now what we're being guided to is, if we can become more secure with knowing how different we are and actually celebrating the diversity of how different we are, and we start to experience one another with a curiosity like a child, right? And that we're not seeking that they be like me so that'll make me feel better. Well, quite obviously, it starts to break down the limitations and compartments and thus judgments that we have created within our civilization. So this is a way to have that interior focus and celebrate this so that we can start to look at one another with a lot more freedom and allow one another to be as diverse as they are, and perhaps start to get closer to what I said in the earlier segments. Perhaps we can start really embracing diversity within the larger scope that it truly is. All right, I'm going to look for another excerpt. Be right back. You will find, as you emerge in conscious awareness of your transition as a being, that although your circumstances are essentially the same, the quality of that structure has altered dramatically. You may technically be living in the same neighborhood and be interacting with the same primary cast members in the living theater of your life. Yet it becomes obvious that the basis for certain categories of interaction is seemingly no longer there. Certain long-standing arenas of conflict may appear quite suddenly to have lost the familiar call to action. And you become aware that you are now simply present in circumstances that no longer prod you, goad you, or draw you toward interaction. You begin to observe yourself in the role of the observer of circumstances that once had you spinning reactively in all directions. Now you are content just to be. There is no compulsion to engage or to flee. There is simply an awareness of what is and of your own presence as part of it. This kind of message is indicating that as we allow these transformational changes to move through our being, that we will begin to witness and perceive around us different responses, different waves of consciousness that are occurring within our sisters and brothers. We are already witnessing that. And so I think what this does is now the embrace of diversity is growing. We're starting to see, we're seeing worlds colliding. We're seeing interdimensional experiences. We're seeing all the stones being turned over, and our limitations are cracking before our very eyes. And this is a good thing. And we only have one place to turn. So we got to turn to that stability that's within us. And all the beliefs that we've held that no longer serve us, they're disintegrating. And we may have moments where we're like, oh my gosh, you know, that belief is disintegrating, and we start grasping, it's like, I'm losing my identity. Well, I'm here to say, celebrate losing that identity. The less identity that we hang on to, the more freedom that we have. So there's something to think about. But the theme has been expand our consciousness. What is diversity? And it's a perception that we can apply to everything. Everything. Even the perceptions of, we're walking through the grocery store and we have a perception of the food, the product. That's all yours. That's all yours. You don't need any kind of applaud or confirmation or assurance from anything or anyone. That's what's going to deepen this power within. Deepen this power within. And it's the power within that we have heard for eons. That's where we're going. That's where we're going, dear ones. These segments have been taken from chapter 28, Oneness by Rasha. And I am Bluestar, and this is a Full Bloom production. And please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you would like to be notified when the next broadcast is uploaded. And you'll see in the description below of the YouTube, of this particular YouTube, there's an email if you'd like to contact me. And I'm also encouraging you to please make comments to either continue this conversation or maybe ask questions. That helps me feel connected because this is actually our virtual platform. And if you care to add funds, there's an email there as well to Full Bloom Productions. And what I'm intending with any funds raised is I would like to be able to buy ads that point to these broadcasts, because I feel that I want to be able to share with you some uplifting moments and some expanded sense of consciousness that helps us feel more prepared for the changes that are occurring on our planet. So again, happy 2020. I love each and every one of you, and I am available. I am accessible. Just contact me. Bye-bye.